Spring is coming very soon and Easter will be here at the end of the month. So today I thought I'd share another craft with you and show you how to make a wet felted Easter egg. Now we just have new at Bella Luna Toys this spring, this felted spring eggs kit that has everything you need to make beautiful felted eggs for an Easter basket. And I think these are beautiful as decorations at any time of year. You don't need a kit. This is nice because it comes with different colors of wool roving and some little wool accents we're going to put on at the end. But if you can do this with any colored wool roving. But this kit makes it handy. And the directions for this kit would have you making the felted egg completely with the wool. But I'm going to teach you another trick that will make your wool go further and give you a nice egg shape if you're not too opposed to using a plastic egg in the middle. This is a nice thing to do if you have these laying around from a previous Easter, what to do with these plastic eggs. On the other hand, I hear you, if you don't want to use plastic, you can just shape an egg shape completely from wool. But in this case, I am going to felt around the wool. The other advantage to doing it around a plastic egg form like this is that after you've felted your egg, you can cut it open, leave a little hinge on one side, put a little chick or other treasure inside. So let us get going. Oh, what color shall I use? I chose a purple egg. Let's do purple over the egg. So I'm going to unwind this wool roving. And what I have set up here, I have two basins here, as you'll see. One, the first is filled with very warm, soapy water. I've used liquid dish soap. This is all you need. Warm water, and this one is filled with cold water and a little dish soap. I like ivory dish soap, but in this case I have something else. But I would warn you not to use Dawn. I've heard that Dawn is not very good for wool felting. I think it cuts the oil of the wool too much, but this is all you need. So I start by pulling pieces of the roving apart and fluffing it, teasing it a little bit to make it kind of nice and even. And then I'm going to wrap it around the egg, first one way, going horizontally. And then you break it apart. If you've seen my video on needle felting, remember to break the wool apart, you want to have your hands kind of far apart and pull. That's because the staple, the length of the wool, if your hands are too close together, it's not going to break. But when you put your hands further apart, it slides easily. So I've got one layer going horizontally. I'm going to put another layer going vertically. And this helps the fibers of the wool, which have scales, the felting process is going to help those scales kind of interlock, and when you go one way and then the other, it helps the felting process go more quickly. And you want I'm going to put one more layer going around crosswise. And so it's fair, I'm going to do one more layer going the other way. So we have two layers going in each direction. And your egg will be kind of bulky at this point, but it's going to tighten up and as we felt. So I've got it spread out evenly, kind of nicely egg-shaped. I'm going to cup my hands around it gently, and first I'm going to gently dip it in the water till it's all wet. And at this point, early in the felting process, you want to handle it very, very gently and carefully. If you're too rough with it in the beginning, it's going to develop folds and cracks. And now I'm just putting a few drops of my dishwashing liquid on it. And I'm going to start by just patting patting really gently. This needs a little more water here. And the soap will kind of help your fingers glide. And if you're not familiar with the felting process or wet felting, think about what happens to a sweater if you put it in the washing machine or dryer. It's that friction. When you're dealing with real wool, it's the friction and changes of temperature that cause the felting to occur, and that's what makes your sweater shrink much smaller than its size, is that combination of friction and if you go from hot to cold. Now, because we want to felt this wool, in the final process we're going to go back and forth between hot water and cold water, which is going to hasten the felting process. So it's already getting a little bit tighter and more egg-shaped. I'm just going to keep patting round and round. And now this is a craft that you can do with children. I've done it with kindergartners. I've done it with 3 to 6 year olds. Younger than 3 might have a problem, but 2-year-olds would have fun watching you or helping you a little, especially as it felts more than a younger child can help with it. Because as you'll see, the more it felts, the firmer it gets, the more roughly you can handle it. So as an adult, you might want to start at the beginning, this beginning stage, until it starts felting a little bit, and then a younger child can start rubbing too. So now it's getting to a point where I can give it a little more pressure. And then also you can kind of rub the surface in a circular motion too. And now look for these cracks. If you see these cracks, try to smooth them out. And I really can't stress the importance at first of just being very gently. If I started squeezing this too hard now, I'd get lots of folds and cracks. And now the egg, I can feel the wool starting to cool down. I'm going to dip it again in the hot water. And I can start handling it a little more roughly now. But if you were to feel this, can you see it's kind of smushy? When we're going to keep felting until this feels really tight and firm around the plastic egg. So I'm just going to continue this process for a minute for the sake of the length of this video. I'll be back with you in a couple of minutes. I'm going to time it and tell you how much time I spent just doing this, and be right back. So here I am. I've been at this for about 4 or 5 minutes now, just gently rubbing and patting, and it's gotten firmer. And let me rinse the soap off. You'll see it's nice and smooth now. There are no cracks. And another advantage, a couple of advantages to using this plastic egg in the middle. It's a lot easier to get a perfect egg shape. If you were you could do it completely from wool, but you'd have to use alternating pressure to kind of shape and mold an egg shape, which would be a little more challenging for a beginning felter. So this gives you a perfect egg shape, and it also allows your wool to go twice as long. So this kit normally makes I believe, how many colors? It's designed 1, 2, 3, 4, to make 6 eggs. You could actually make 12 by felting over the plastic egg. You'd have enough wool. So, pretty firm now. And I'm ready now to add some accents. Now this kit comes with these sweet little, it's called pencil roving, thin pieces of roving, but You could also just use little bits of other colors if you have full roving. Make your own and just add little bits of contrasting color. But with this kit, hard to open this with wet hands, we've got these nice little pieces of colored wool, almost like yarn, a little looser. And I can just kind of put them around like so. To make whatever kind of design I want. And now, just like maybe one more, what color am I missing? Maybe a little orange. Okay, I've added my color accents. As in the beginning, I'm going to gently, 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 ever so gently wet everything. Put a few more drops of dish soap. And just start very gently patting. And the fibers from these little colored pieces you've added are just going to grab the scales of the felted egg and adhere. It doesn't take much. To get them to stick on. And now, as a final step, as I told you in the beginning, when we go from warm to cold, that kind of shocks the wool. And that's going to aid the felting process, make it go a little more quickly. I'm going back to the hot water. Into the cold water. A few more drops of wool just to help the felting and help the colored pieces stick. And that's pretty much it. You could, for the sake of this video, I'm going to end this soon, but you could rub this just a little bit longer to get it nice and firmly felted. And then the final step would be to rinse all the soapy water off. You could do it in a basin or even under a sink. This piece, for some reason that orange doesn't want to stick. And finally, another technique at the end, if there were any loose pieces, you could just take a felting needle, as I demonstrated before, just a little felting needle, and felt any loose spots. And after you've rinsed it, you could blot it with a towel. I failed to mention, but you probably see you want to have a lot of towels under your basins, especially when you're doing this, children. It can be a really wet job. Ideally, I'd spend a little more time rubbing and felting this, but you get the idea. That's all there is to it. It's a lot of fun, and as I said in the beginning, if you wanted to cut this egg open, you'd take a pair of sharp scissors and start at one end vertically across, but don't cut all the way through, maybe from here to about here, so you have a hinge, and then you can open the egg this way, and you could put a little treasure inside, a little Ostheimer chick, or make a little felted chick. And speaking of felted chicks, we have another felting kit, wet felting kit, that just came in for spring, our felted chicks kit. And once you've mastered this is a great project to learn the art of wet felting. Once you become comfortable with this, the felted chicks are pretty much the same. Use a rubber band to shape the chick, sew on a little beak and feet. They're adorable. But anyway, I hope that's helpful. Hope you try it. Share with me. Let me know. Send me pictures if you decide to felt some eggs. And wishing you a happy, happy spring. See you next week. Bye-bye.